Multifamily wraps can get complex quick. Designing them well with Giraffe can be a little tricky. So here's a little tutorial on how to do it effectively whilst not losing any of the detail. This is a really good example of what I would call a slightly complex wrap. It's complex because it has different heights. It has a different ground level height, floor to floor. It has these offshoots, and it has different configuration for the parking on the different levels. So we're going to recreate this. It's also got a entry and exit for the car park. We're going to recreate this from scratch, and I'll show you how to do it. When you're at that early stage of site planning and you're trying to just figure out density, you want to be able to move pretty quick, right? You need to be able to use tools that work, and they work relatively quick enough. So if we see here, this is 266 units, 376 parking spaces, okay? So let's just very quickly recreate this crudely using the generic flows within Giraffe. So I'm going to say, first of all, I want to grab a wrap with parking. And I'm going to use the grid here to help me. So the grid is currently set at 20-foot increments. So I'm going to go 120 by, let's say, 180, okay? And I'm going to use the grid here. And I'm going to say, let's go 160 by 280. Okay, now I did 160 by 280 because I know that's 2 rows of parking, and I can drag this out and I can see that roughly building as I go. 160, that may be a poor rule of thumb for you. For me, that's perfect. So you can see that's about 188. Then I'm going to add my little end caps, which is, I'm going to just sort of move it out here. And I want to I'm holding Shift A, and that allows me to get rid of my end caps. And now I'm just going to hit B on my keyboard to snap this to that. And then we'll go down here, we'll do the same thing. I want to get a residential flow, and I just want to go like that, get rid of the end cap. And again, I'm going to say B, snap that to that, okay? So, relatively speaking, I'm pretty close. 264 versus, what did we say? 266. And I've got one, yeah, there we go. So that's now more accurate. Okay, it's 309. We're going to make our mixes right, and we're going to look at all that in a second. So there's a bunch of inefficiencies here, but I've got a pretty good idea of where we're starting from. All right. So now if I want to line up these corridors, then I could spend the time to sort of adjust this to there and move that over. And you can see it's not very architectural what I'm doing here. It's sort of breaking a few rules, but it's quick and dirty, and it's going to give us our sort of top level unit count as we go. So let's adjust the mix so that at least they reflect each other. I'm going to turn this one off for a second and turn this one on. And I believe we have, what do we have? 40, 30, 21, and 7. So let's see over here, we've got 40, 30, 21, and 7. So you can see I've got way too many studios. So we'll open up the mix, 1, 2, 3, and we'll say 40, 30, 21, and 7. So we want virtually no studios. Well, hang on, let's just see. Did I get that right? 21% studios. Wow. Okay. So we'll say roughly 20% studios. And not very many 3s. We want that consistent throughout. Okay. And I'm just sort of eyeballing this, right? Okay, so we lose a few units there. And I think we're okay from the same dimensions. Let's just double check that. 140 by 220. Okay, so I'm way overcated. Let's at least make these the same so we can compare our unit count as we go through it. So 220, and 140. And that makes more sense. All right, back to 260. That makes me feel a lot better. Base point start, base point start. Okay, cool. So if I turn these on, they should be very similar. Yep, great. So now if you go back to my pre-designed one, you can see it's got a retail block down here. There's some real complexity with the garage where we're actually taking ramping into account, and then we've got this void over here. So let's go ahead and do all of those things. So once we've kind of hit that top level accuracy of, all right, we're roughly within the same number of units, we like our mix, now we want to finesse the detail. What I would suggest you do at this point is you bake your model. Baking says, okay, let's take everything the algorithm has given us and let's just turn it into an independent giraffe feature. Okay, so now you can see I can individually select and edit each one of these items. So I'm going to actually say, I'm going to be a bit sneaky here. Let's drop this all down to one level because I want to work on the ground level first. Oh, you can see I haven't selected everything properly, so let's go make sure we select everything. Okay, and we want to go all the way down to the ground. Okay, ground floor. And I'm just going to copy that because we're ultimately going to paste it again. So now what I want to do is I want to delete some sections. So down here was my little retail. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, delete those. And over here was my entrance. So let's go 1, 2, and delete that entrance. You can see my unit count's going to update here on the fly. If you look at what's happening, I've got this flat pack sort of system. These ends are pretty straightforward, so there's no real complexity there. So let's go ahead and draw in the void here. I'm going to draw retail. And I want that to be one level. Okay. Now, quick note, different floor to floors here, so we're going to adjust that in a second. And then 2, I want to actually place an object here, even though I'm going to make it see-through, and I just want that object to be there so that everything stacks correctly. So I'm just saying, give me a generic 3D and make it 100% see-through. So now I've got these different geoms on the ground floor, but they're all the wrong floor to floor. So I actually want to say each of these have a floor to floor of a ground floor level, which is 12 feet. Okay. So the generic one I have to make height as opposed to floor to floor because it's just a 3D object. All right, so now we've got our ground floor done, but before we do that, we've still got some weirdness here. Like we've got this corridor. So I'm just going to use X to snip away here at the edges. And then down here, I'm going to snip, but instead of, I don't know if you've used the cutting tool, it's so good. I love it. What? Why is it doing that? There we go. So I've now got these two geometries, this one, and I'm going to say merge them together. All right, now I've got my square footage of retail down here, and this I can just stretch the void out. I deleted the thing. All right, so let's add an arrow just so we can clearly see where our entry and exit is. And then we do need to think about our ramping profile. Okay, so when we come into the garage, we want to sort of work our way up in a circular motion. And here I want to be able to say this is the entrance. So I'm going to use the parking algorithm. So we'll say Car Park USA, and I want to do a no parking zone right here. Okay, now when I do that, that resolves the algo. A couple of tricks on the algo. If we say close corners, where is that? So no max run, that will give us the strip, and then no open corners. Yeah, perfect. So that solves heaps better. So then, so that's our ground floor. So now I like to just sort of copy paste. Okay, so I'd already copied the ground floor with the units all intact, so I'm just going to paste now, and that's going to paste the right element in. Let's make sure we get those car park flows back. And that level now, I can isolate the level underneath by clicking on it and saying H, and that then now shows me the ground floor, which is amazing, right? And the ground floor is all 12 foot, whereas now our second level is all 10.5 feet. The beautiful thing is I've isolated this stack order, so now when I go and drag select, it's only going to select stuff that's on that stack order. Just such a nice experience. So I want 3 of these typical levels, maybe 4 actually. And then the 5th level, I'm going to paste again, but this time I want the car part to actually just be 50%. And the reason for that is my ramp strategy requires that. Okay, so let's leave isolate mode. And now we've got a fully stacked building with our little void. Now there's a couple of things we may want to then go and finesse, which is these corner units that need a corridor running through them. So we're going to lose a little, we're going to have a second type corner unit here. So let's just go in and do that. I'm going to take this guy here and snap him back to here. And because we stack multiple together, I'm going to go in and do that. And let's go to it. And we'll make this corridor. And we want that to be all the way to the top. One of them to be 12 feet, obviously. That one only needs to be 1 level, but we should stack it underneath. Okay. And then let's go do the same thing over here. Let's make him corridor. And we'll make his 12 feet. Copy paste. 10.5. And then eat your heart out. Go to the roof. Boom. Okay. So now we have this great floor plan. And you could even, if you really wanted to get detailed, you could say these last 2 use that corridor in a different floor plan, but you might want to have an open rooftop amenity. I'm not sure. Lots of different things that we can do. So there in about 10 minutes, we went from a really detailed floor plan to, conceptual floor plan to detailed floor plan. And we've done it maintaining, in fact, finding more efficiency in our design than we would have previously. So I think it's because we actually have an extra level. So let's go in and just drop down all of these in the stack. Go down 1 level. There we go. Fascinating. So what we found there was the difference between our final plan and our concept plan is 5 units. And where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything else was almost exactly right with the algorithm. And there are just a few sort of inefficiencies. This corner here, that unit's probably not really workable. Same with that unit. So we might have to flip those. Let's make that what we're going to do here. This is the architect in me, winning and losing. Not that I'm a trained architect or have anything to do with architecture. So let's make this, let's get rid of all this. I'm going to lose an apartment there. I'm going to put in a stair or an elevator or something like that. And then this guy can come across. How would we do that? Let's base point move him. Although we have the garage, we could put the elevator in the corners of the garage. And then there's sort of enough room here if you could do sort of a horrible dwelling here maybe. This is where the architects make their money. James just making up nonsense. But you could sort of probably do that. What's that, 263 square feet? Nah, that's too small. You could, and then, yeah, no, it's not a nice unit. I reckon we get rid of it. And we move this guy across and we make the remainder this dwelling. Know how you do this. This is boring to watch, but this is super interesting because this is the real problem of corner units. Maybe this is a 3-bedder in here. Or we might open up. Yes, that's what we've done. We've opened up another 1-bedder. So we go cut. There. That's super interesting. So now this is 1 and that is a 2. Hooroo, we've done it. Or a 1, sorry. Yeah, because that's a... Yep, that makes total sense. And then this guy can shift across, and that'll open up that. Oh, amazing. So let's get all of that over. Now, some jurisdictions may require this, right? In which case, my efficiency here is not helping, but looks to me like we can at least get one more 1-bedder in here. So where are we up to now? Based off your initial estimate, we've solved 1 corner. Let's get these as core and crank them up. Yeah, this is a disaster, but something can be solved there. Maybe that's a courtyard or something. I don't know. We're nearly back at 260. Incredible. So we're probably slightly too efficient. We probably need some more circulation from fire code point of view, but we're very close. I think we're very close. Like if we went and just did a little dim corner to corner, what are we? 150. So we may need sprinkled. I'm not quite sure how that works from an exit point of view. We certainly will need end cap down here and end cap over there. That's why maybe we move things around. But anyway, point is, the initial estimate was actually very close. We've now got our more finesse design where we found another dwelling here, and we probably could find another dwelling here, but we've lost dwellings here and we've lost dwellings here. So the net of it is actually very similar. And you can see that purpose-driven flow. Start quick with the basic flows and then finesse, finesse, finesse. And what you gain in clarity from a communication point of view doesn't actually change the unit count that much. But from an underwrite point of view, this is critical to know. And again, if you want to photograph each layer, you isolate, you say, here's our ground floor, take a screenshot or take a view, pop it in your report. Let's grab this view right here. We'll call it ground floor. Ground floor. And then we want to do the middle of the stack. So then we will isolate the middle of the stack. So let's go back over here and we can click there's the middle of the stack. There's the middle of the stack. Oh no, let's grab. I wonder why it's grabbing that one on top. Oh, because that one's on top. Yeah, right. Okay, so we go that. There we go. Okay, grab that. We say stack. And then we want the roof. And the roof has no, yeah, that's right. So we'll go this, and this. Yeah, no. Why is it giving me that? I don't want that. There we go. And roof. And then that can form the basis of our report out to the team. Very good, very good. Let's pop that into the report builder. Ground, stack, roof. Oh. I think it's beautiful. Let's switch the layout here. Let's say A4. Let's go horizonty. Horizonty jaunty. I think it's bloody beautiful. And then let's go get our analytics, throw all of that on. Let's go to area schedule. Oh, area schedule. Boom. Unit count. Boom. And maybe total mix. Boom. Love it. All right. Download it. Send it off.